Okay guys, so I have laid the locks out along the edges and I'm trying to give you a different angle here so maybe you can see a little bit better. So the locks are about an inch up on the black and they're hanging off the bubble wrap and onto my towel. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my black roving again. If I can grab a piece of black roving here would be good. I'm going to grab my black roving again, and I am going to pull off pieces of roving here, and I'm going to lay it over top of the edge of those locks so that I am locking them in. So there you go, you can see it's shingling it over just a little bit. It's on top of the fuzzy part of the locks that I brushed out. Okay, so that's it. So now I'm going to go back over it and I'm going to add in some of those colors again, just to give it a little bit of design here, not have such a thick black stripe down it. Put some of this teal color in here. Grab a little bit more out of my basket here. Okay, that looks good there. And I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add a little bit of the blue bamboo silk on top. And I'm going to go in with some of that green tussa on top of that. Okay, our layout is complete. So now you want to make sure that you don't get your roving wet. So I'm going to take the time to put my roving into my basket here. And I'm going to move my basket well and good away so that I know that I can't get it wet. And then the magic starts to happen. So I put my ball brass in to my soapy water there. And this is the scary part. It's actually not scary. It just looks scary. The first time you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm getting all my hard work wet. And what you're trying to do is wet it down, but not leave huge puddles of water. Some people are really specific about how much water they use. If you use too little water, you're going to have trouble felting, your stuff is going to pill up, it doesn't go well. If you use too much water, no big deal. You just grab a towel and sop it up. So I'd err on the side of too much than too little. I really like the control that you get from this little doodad. I think it really just gives the right amount. So there we go, we are nice and wet. And I'm grabbing my nylon shower curtain here. I'm going to just put that over top of it and gently begin pressing it down and just kind of smoothing it out a little bit. I run my hands on it a little bit. You want to be careful that you're not dragging those fibers out of where you laid them down and ruining your layout. Feels like it's a little dry right here. Some people like to put their water over top of their shower curtain, whichever. Doesn't really matter. As you can see, I begin gently rubbing it back and forth with my hand washboard. Now, the hand washboard, you can use a bunch of different household items. If you don't have a hand washboard, you can just be going over it with your hands. It will take longer because obviously your hands don't have the nice dimples that this does. It could be done. It would just take a lot longer if you rubbed it with your hands. You can also use, you know, the ceramic soap dishes that have the ridges on the bottom. You can use those ridges. You can just grab that and rub it over top of it. I think that this is worth every penny as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so in the beginning, I just give it some light rubs, and I do it for about that long. Now, I think it's easiest to grab the shower curtain from the top part, where the neckline, where you don't have the locks. Smooth these guys back down, and I begin gently pulling it back. In the beginning, it's going to stick a little bit. Pull that part off. Move on to my next section here. And I begin gently rubbing that out. And I rub it right to the edge of where I laid that black along those locks. Just gently, gently rubbing it in the beginning. I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, the edges, everything is kind of messy. Don't worry about it. We will get there. We will take care of it. So just giving it some gentle rubbing here. Gently getting those fibers into one another. All right, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to peel it back, making sure that I kind of leave this part so you can see how it kind of holds onto it in the beginning. That's normal. Don't worry about it. Just wipe them down and try to pull it back gently. Kind of take a look at your locks, make sure that everything is okay, that they didn't get flipped over and up and into your project, that everybody is laying flat. And at this point is when I will go over it and start to bring my edges in a little bit and begin to clean it up a little bit. And that's just how I do it. It's not a big deal there. I like the organicness, that nothing's the same, that you don't have a straight line. I'm not a straight line kind of girl. I work better with it kind of messy and organic. So now that that's done, you can kind of even begin to see how it's mixing into one another. You want the fibers to marry each other. And they are nowhere near married right now. They're not even dating right now. So they're just laying on top of one another here. And you can even see if I move it around, these guys are not holding on to one another. They're kind of loose in there. So you still have to be gentle with it when you're rubbing it. Now, you can do this with a pool noodle. What you would do is you would cover your whole project with your shower curtain, and then you would just put your pool noodle on top of that and roll it up with your bubble wrap and your locks hanging out the edges, and then you can roll it back and forth. Personally, for this project, I think that the pool noodle is not the way for me to go, because I'm a heathen barbarian kind of girl, and I just go at it. And this allows me the control to keep the locks all nice, because when I roll it out with that pool noodle, it is, those locks, it's a hot mess. It is not good for me. So now that things are starting to get a little bit more together, I can give a little bit more pressure in rubbing this out. And I alternate between sitting and standing and doing it horizontal and perpendicular, getting it right down to that line of your locks. Rubbing, rubbing, rubbing. I think that wet felting is the definitely the most cardiovascular of all the fiber arts. You definitely put a little muscle into it. Okay, so since these fibers are still getting to know each other, they're going to be sticking to each other here when I lift this up. So I don't want to do it for too long. About this much again on this side is about all that I need. So you can see it's stuck to it a little bit. Just rolling it down, no big deal. Pulling on it gently. Yeah, I know you're probably thinking 36 inches, that's a pretty big neck warmer there. The wool shrinks roughly, we're going to say about 30%. So this is going to shrink down to the right size for a proper neck warmer.